I'm going to officially start this off by saying hi and welcome to The Fashion Effect. We're here with our founder, Jayna. So, Jayna, I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm not going to start deep, though. My first question is, what led you to start The Fashion Effect?
Yeah, so actually, when I first started designing, I was looking around and there really wasn't anything here in the Des Moines area. So I had to end up going out of state to do fashion shows, to find things that were going to actually lead for my brand to have sales. And so I started to go to Kansas City. When I went to Kansas City, Heartland International Fashion Week was my very first fashion show, and I felt, I'll be honest, I felt so insecure when I first started because I was like, oh my gosh, these people are so cool. And, I'm just me doing my thing. So, that little imposter syndrome. But the thing that opened up my eyes is the community that they have, and everybody knew everybody, and they really didn't judge me. They brought me into their fold. I was able to meet some really great friends that even now, some of them have showcased at the Curve Factor, which was kind of my next step. So once I kind of got tired of traveling around and spending so much money on travel and maybe not necessarily making back the money, I decided that I wanted to bring something here into Des Moines that was a show, so I didn't have to always travel. And that created the Curve Factor. The Curve Factor's driving force was to really support body positivity and everyday bodies on the runway, because a lot of shows that I had participated in, they didn't account for that. And so I really wanted to make sure that our show was accounting for things that other shows were not. The Curve Factor ended up creating something I honestly couldn't even imagine. We started to create a community. People were excited about having community. It was really one of the first big events that happened here within the Des Moines area that kind of stayed outside of what had happened in the past, but just more current events. And so I set out to just continue to create community within the Curve Factor. Well, as we started to grow and we hit our second year, we were facing a lot of roadblocks, and a lot of it came down to we weren't a nonprofit, we were a for-profit business. It came down to just being able to provide those resources. We just didn't have the setup for that for just the fashion show. So I wanted to create the Fashion Effect in order to help people really be able to continue to grow and continue off of what the Curve Factor had started with, which, I mean, it wasn't just me. We have a whole team. My current executive director here, Danny Kasner, she was integral to getting in a lot of educational resources and things like that in place for what is now known as the Fashion Effect. But that was kind of the transition. So a lot of it was just seeing that need and seeing everybody say the same things that I was saying. I wish I had something that supported me. I wish that there was community here. I wish there were more events here. And that is what drove us to really create the Fashion Effect so that we could create a stronger impact within the Des Moines area.
Honestly, that makes sense. I mean, you've already told me kind of how you started and what inspired you to start, because like you said, there's a lack of opportunities here. People are always traveling outside of Iowa to look for these opportunities, and they're not necessarily making the income to cover those travel costs. And then it's kind of like you come back home and you feel like you're not seeing your people really aren't there, or they're not showcasing their talent, their events as much as others do, like in New York City, Kansas, whatever. So it's kind of like you feel kind of left out and you feel like you're missing out on an opportunity that could possibly be near you. And that brings me to my next question of, how do you think people will engage with the fashion effect? How do you think they will perceive us? Because I know we go out and we say we want to create opportunities, paid opportunities for these creatives, and we want to have a platform where we can put all these opportunities and list names of designers, models, so that we all can be on one page and you can go through us to create events or look for your next job. How do you think that'll go over for these creatives?
Yeah, I mean, based on some of the people who have already kind of started to grow with us, I truly feel like, that if we do it right, which that's my goal, it's always if we do it right. That's why I'm always asking for creatives' feedbacks, because I want to make sure that even if you're not a designer, let's say you're a fashion photographer, I want you to get just as much benefit as a designer. I can only speak from my perspective as a designer, as someone who creates fashion shows, as a model even. And I can't really speak for what's going to truly help fashion photography or styling or things like that, because you guys all have your own perspectives and issues. So I want this to be seen as something that people feel like they can collaborate with us, that they can feel safe saying, hey, I don't think that you are catering to me. Mm-hmm. And I want them to feel comfortable that they can tell us that, so that we can then continue to grow the community. My goal is to bring in so many resources. And I mean, I say my goal, but really it's our goal. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make sure that my team has a wide variety of people in different parts of the industry. So we have designers, we have fashion photographers, we have people who are in graphic design, we have people who are just, they're not necessarily in fashion, but they bring in their own perspective, and then they also look at it from a guest perspective. That is what my whole team is there for. It's to help curate and provide those opportunities in different spaces. And so really the biggest thing I would say that I want people to get out of it is collaboration. Mm-hmm. But I also want it to be beneficial. So when it comes to curating just shows in general, I want those to benefit people. I want to be able to go after resources like grants that will be able to help uplift and maybe provide stipends for people. Because let's be honest, when I was doing fashion shows, minimum to create 10 outfits, at least spending $1,000 just on those outfits. And that is trying to be cost conscious. Mm-hmm. And my vision is I want to see Des Moines as a thriving hub of fashion creatives. I want us to be just like Kansas City or New York. They have things called creator spaces where people can go into, and they can utilize that space to sew. It has like all the tools that you wouldn't be able to have. Something I always think of is I could be so cool if I could create my own patterns. So bringing something like that in, I want eventually to have it be a whole mecca of fashion, because the truth is, like Iowa, like ISU is one of the top 5 fashion schools in the nation. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, they shouldn't feel like they have to leave Iowa in order to have opportunities. We have amazing talent here. It's just not connected. There's just no community. And I want to bridge that gap so that we feel like we can uplift each other and we can really create a space here and become the next fashion mecca like Chicago or New York or LA.
That makes sense. It's a lovely idea, and I think we're going to get to that point as well. I think also there is this hunger, this thirst that the other creatives have to have the same dream, to reach the same goal, where we are this hub. We have the connections, and we can connect with each other for our next opportunities and collaborations. I like to think of it kind of like Google. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes the fashion effect could be like a Google, where if you're searching for a designer, on our page, you can go under designers, and we'll tag them all. The ones we've worked with, you can see their work. You can see who wore it. Then you go off to the models. If you're looking for a model for your next show, you can go under our model, see who we worked with, who we sponsor, whatever it may be. And then from there, you can start making those creative projects together. You can start to collaborate. And it becomes a success once everybody's aware of it, right? So, like you said, that ISU is top 5
Yeah.
for fashion.
In the nation, yeah.
And we don't have a fashion community
Yeah.
that strong. You see where the need is. You see where the gap is. And I'm so happy that you recognize that and you started something to kind of fill it in. And I know we're not fast growing, and I know a lot of people ask us what we're all about. And I'm happy that we're having this conversation because it answers those questions. What is the fashion effect? Because they know of the curve factor, they know of the fashion circuit. But we come in and we're brand new, and they're like, what do you do? What separates you from the rest? And I think that's what it is. We are not like a service.
Right.
But we are someone who comes in to try and gauge those gaps and then, essentially connect hands with those in the community to create something out of it so they are made aware of it.
Yeah, and to further on that, the goal of the Fashion Effect isn't to create a whole bunch of events. The goal of the Fashion Effect is to have a few set events that are there for platform purposes so that you guys can have that platform and that raise. But the main goal of the Fashion Effect is really the collaboration. I want to see people come to us, and I want to see them be like, hey, I have an idea for this fashion show. I want to do this fashion show. Can you assist us? Can we get this up and going? Because I really want it to be like a revolution. I want people to feel confident that they can start their own things and do their own things and have us support them. Whether it is as a fiscal sponsor, whether it is as a somebody who helps with advice or the items that we worked really hard to get, and that you guys need to utilize those. Those are the things that we want to be able to help get you up and running, essentially, so that you can do your own thing. And then ideally, maybe even be able to give back to the community once we're in that point. I mean, everything that we want to do, the Fashion Effects wants to give back to. So when we look at curating fashion shows, like with the Curve Factor has a prize package for designers. The Curve Factor has for models the faces of the show, and those people, the faces of the show, they do get paid. The designers, they get to be on our marketing for the next year, which is a huge thing because a lot of designers are small time. They can't afford the marketing. So like when we're doing our shows, we're making sure that the posters, they're being utilized. All those designs are designers that won the package award. We've worked with, one year we worked with Kiki Textiles, which is a fabric store, and they gifted a $100 gift card for fabric. So it really comes down to, we always want to make sure that if we're creating a show, that it's giving back. And if we're helping assist people, that there's a way that we can give back as well to the designers, the creatives. That has always been like the main goal.
So they can turn this kind of into a career opportunity, but also build their portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Through us, through the fashion circuit, through any opportunities that are presented to them. And so you're looking to pay your designers, pay your models, pay anyone who contributes in any way, and then also host events where they can showcase their work but bring in an audience, the consumers, right? Because most of the time I believe that fashion designers will design a clothing, a model will walk out in it, and then the consumers will look at it and appreciate it and, set a value and be like, hey, I would like to work with you to create my own personal wardrobe, or can I buy this piece from you?
Yes. So, I mean, to be honest, with fashion shows, a lot of times there's not a lot of money. You may get clients. It's a way to market yourself. But really what the fashion shows do is they're there for you to utilize as an additional marketing tool. It's not necessarily going to get you the most clients per se, because there's people who are going to a fashion show just for entertainment purposes. But there are some people who are looking for the next thing. One of the things that we are trying really hard to do is find ways that we can actually make sure that designers get paid, whether it's us paying them with a stipend so that they can help create those pieces, or it is also along the lines of being able to create something that is sustainable. How do we connect you guys with the people you need to be connected with in order to sell your pieces? So as much as, and it's a process. So it's not going to happen in one day. Unfortunately, I wish I could. I wish I was rich enough that I could just pay everybody to create. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So my goal is, how do I bridge that gap of the funds? And so that is what I'm always constantly thinking about when I'm creating the shows and asking people for their time and things like that, is how do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, I've also seen that too, where we'll have the questions on our Instagram page or Facebook. We're asking creatives, give us your opinion, right? Because I'm going to take that opinion, give it to my boss, Jayna, and she's going to take a look at that and see how she can action on it. Because we don't just say things. We genuinely mean them, right?
Right.
We really want to bring these opportunities. We want to make sure people are paid. We want you to be seen, and we want to build your portfolio, whether it's through us or an opportunity we present to you through our posts, our website, whatever it may be. It really helps us out because not only are we creating a community, but we get to play a part in it. Yeah,
and to really kind of go down that route a little bit in more detail is, I consider myself a creative first. So I love to do design. Design has always been something I wanted to do. And I faced a lot of roadblocks because I grew up very poor. And so there's a lot that's not accessible if you don't have money in fashion. And so my goal is, now that I'm starting to get to that place where maybe I can give back a little bit, it needs to change. Like the industry needs to change.
Drastically.
Right now, most people who run fashion shows, they're not creatives. The people who run fashion shows are people who have money. They say, oh, I love fashion. I want to create fashion. And they're not the actual creatives. And so what happens is those fashion shows end up becoming really big time, and designers either have to pay so that they get marketing, or they go in there for free and there's not much money into it. Even the photographers, you can just go to any professional photographer that even showcases in New York. And there are people who will, when they're saying their secrets, is that fashion shows do not really pay. And so that's due to the setup that they have, that there's not really the creatives in charge of it. Because the creatives, we love to create, right? So we're all like, yes, I want to get my vision out there. And I'm focused on the vision, not so much per se the business side a lot of times. And, those people that are in those roles then take that and use that as to their advantage. You create for us for free. We reap in the benefits. We reap in the money. And so as things grow, as people support our brand, what we really want to do to separate that is, how can we give back to creatives? Because for me, I'm a creative first. And so I know that I wanted this stuff when I started out. And so I want to make sure that I provide those opportunities for the people that are also creating and maybe starting out. How can we assist?
Yeah, I wish there was a rage room for creatives, because I definitely feel like we just have to have an audio of what you just said. And I guarantee you they're breaking something, because that is something that is felt across the board, right? Yeah. How is it someone who isn't even a creative running a creative show? Makes no sense. And then on top of that, you're not even paying them. Right. They're here for free. They're paying you so you can rebin the profits, like you said. But rebinding the profits could be just going back into the community, the people who are walking your shows and, making you the money. It's like, why aren't you paying your employees? That's what I'm thinking of. Like, why wouldn't you pay your employees? It makes sense. And it's like, how do you think how are they going to return to this industry time and time again when they're not being paid out? Because when I look at the interviews of like certain models and photographers, I see the most money they make are from like independent works that they do, or they go and get contracted by a clothing brand and go through that route. So not even going through a fashion show. They're completely removing themselves from that and going somewhere else.
Right.
And that's taking away from the community, because then it's like, oh yeah, if you want to make money, you got to go to H&M. No local fashion shows for you, because you've either aged out or there is no money, you can't pay rent, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And you need to find something else. And why do most people in this industry have like 6 different jobs?
That's true.
How are you not exhausted and tired and like fainting on stage? I don't know how they do it.
I mean, I can tell you, like, I work a full-time job, and, you know, I work a full-time job. I run my business, and then I run the Fashion Effect as well. I mean, again, luckily I have a team, because there is no way I could do this without our team. I couldn't do this without you coming and doing the podcast. Like, you know, it's a lot of those things that I'm very grateful that our team has put in that time and the effort for. But the truth is, I would love to be able to do this independently, and I could give back so much more if I was doing this independently, if I had the time to just focus on it. But in the truth of the matter is, a lot of times the response just isn't there. I mean, that's why it's so important. If you are seeing a local fashion event, go out and support it. Like, not even just ours. I mean, like, if you see another fashion show, I know right now, Iowa City 237 Collective, they are doing fashion shows every single week. Right now for the month of April. Go out and support those people, because they're all small time business owners, and they're all trying to just create something to like be seen. So it's so important to give back to those communities. So show up for those. You know, a lot of times the tickets aren't that crazily priced. It's
Some of them are
$20 to $40 usually. For these smaller fashion shows, but your $20 to $40 goes such a long way in being able to curate and grow those shows. Right now, there are some shows that they charge $100 for tickets, you know, and while they all do their own things and they're all really great, you know, they provide their platforms and things like that, but the small shows would love to be able to be at that point at one point in time. And I'm sure that those are usually, the smaller ones are usually the curated by creatives. They're just trying to put it on to showcase their work. And so if we support those, if we come out full force between them, between Beyond Fashion Fest, you know, the Fashion Effect, the Fashion Circuit, those are some that are here within the Des Moines and Iowa City areas right now. If you go out and you support those places, you're going to see that our community is going to grow. Instead of going and maybe watching the Victoria's Secret show, for example, go support your local designers.
Yeah, kind of like supporting your local business and shopping organic, you know, grass-fed butter. We are the same way, right? If you want something close to home and you want us to thrive, the same way people support, you know, the universities' sports teams and stuff like that, the way they rah-rah and chant for these people, I feel like the same energy should be poured into the creative and art spaces. Yeah. Because we, too, make it so that our communities in the Des Moines, like, region and Iowa City, just Iowa in general, thrive. We can't do it without people shopping local, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I hear a lot of people complaining about how they can't find they can't find business owners that curate fashionable clothing here in the Des Moines area or things for their size. Well, it starts here. Go to the shows. Go support. Yes, they are going to be a little bit more expensive. If you can afford it, pay that price and support those designers, because as they can grow, right now they're creating out of need, necessity. So they have to do piece by piece by piece. Go support them, go pay for their stuff. And as they continue to grow, their prices are going to become more affordable in general. And I mean, even just understanding the love and the care that goes into it, understand that the biggest thing that I think I struggle with a lot in my brand is people will come to me for a quote, and they will say, well, I could get that from Fashion Nova for cheaper. Well, yes, you can get it from Fashion Nova for cheaper, but you're not going to get that quality. You're not going to get the care and the attention to all those little details, and you're not getting each one. I have met so many designers, and I don't even want to just talk about myself. I've met so many designers where they spend hours upon hours into their craft. There is a local designer here who does dancewear, ethnic muse design, and she creates some of the most gorgeous pieces. But I have been on the phone with her, and she has spent days and weeks on that same outfit. And then people want those kinds of outfits for $100. Well, you're not gonna get something that is being curated for your size, your body, and get it for $100, and that or even $20. Sometimes I've had people ask me if I could make them a piece for $20, and I'm like, I can't even buy the fabric for that much. I wish I could, but I can't.
I'm just thinking minimum wage is $7.15 an hour. Imagine I'm spending 12 hours making you this one outfit. Please do the math. And we're not shaming anybody for asking for those lower prices, but we're bringing awareness to the fact that there is this gap in understanding what it costs to make something and manufacture it on a small scale versus Amazon.
Yeah.
Because you can go on Amazon, but like you said, it's not catered to your body type. It's not made for you. Quality is definitely not in mind. And let's not forget, most of this stuff comes from people who are doing slave labor, meaning they're making cents on the dollar, if even. So it's kind of like you're not contributing to a positive workplace. It's kind of negative. But if you buy local, you're contributing positively to the people around you, and you're helping your community.
Yeah, and let's just talk. I mean, there's fast fashion brands out there right now. Right now, there is a trend going on right now with Shein, where it has just been announced that Shein is using the same chemicals that we use to the same chemicals to basically preserve bodies to preserve their clothing in
embalming fluid.
Yes.
No. Sorry.
No, you're good. But they're using that on your clothing, and that's because they're making the clothing in such mass, and in order to keep it preserved, they are putting that embalming fluid on there to preserve it. Well, just think about it. Once that's in your system, it never goes away.
Never. It's a forever chemical,
Yeah.
and it's not meant to be used on a living person. So I guess that could be an educational video we do where we talk about the industry, the chemicals, what goes into it, costs, and its effects. Because I know we had someone come here talk about sustainability, like you just did, but no one's ever talked about the chemicals that go into your dyes, preserving the clothing, because dry rot is a thing, something you'll encounter if you ever do any thrifting. And, I guess that's one thing we do well, is that we do well educating the community, but we need the engagement, so people know that we exist. And I hate to cut this short,
No, you're good.
but oh my God, guys, this is our founder and our leader, and you've done a great job of identifying the problems in the area, finding the solutions, and actioning on them. Now all that's left is to kind of develop and spread.
And, just with this last thing, it's not just me who's identifying those things. This is people coming up to us. We have conversations during our networking events about what do you struggle with? What are those issues? And those are the things that's where we're pulling from. So these things that you're seeing that we're implementing, it's coming from those people. It's coming from the team. It's not just me. I'm only focusing on a little bit of the stuff, and then everything else has come from what I hear people say, what I hear them complaining about, and how do we help that? How do we assist with that?
So like a doctor, people have come to you with their symptoms, and people like yourself and other fashion business owners are essentially handing out a good medication to cure them of their issues. Because you're right, shop local, identify the problem, bring it to us, tell anybody in the industry, honestly, even if it's not us, and let us help you. But first, you have to help us too by engaging, telling us, coming to the shows, purchasing locally. And then from there, when we develop that community, it won't be necessarily the worst thing that could happen is that you're paying Shein prices or you're paying Amazon prices. It'll be that, oh, there's not a lot of fashion shows this month, or the fashion weeks were shorter this year.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of problems we look forward to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope to have you again soon.
Well, thank
I mean,
you.
you can come on as much as you want, but it's been lovely speaking to you. And what is your handle on Instagram?
Yes, at J Leiden Designs, and then of course at the Fashion Effect.
Fashion Effect. Us.
So yes.